Captain's log. This time, we get to go on another ship. A ship from the past. Its name, the Stargazer. Dr. Crusher informs us that headaches are a thing of the past in the 24th century. And Picard wants to let the dead rest and the past remain the past. Hi, I'm Broccoli. Welcome to the Cancel Red Alert podcast, where I talk to myself or to the ether, or to you, hey there, about Star Trek The Next Generation. For this episode, I couldn't really find the best place to sit, so if you want to come with me, you can find me at the cargo bay too. If you don't know how to get here, I know this is a big ship. Just ask the computer for directions. There are a few containers here, but it's mostly empty, so there's a lot of space. So come on over, grab a mat from the low-gravity gymnasium, or replicate a beanbag chair, whatever makes you more comfortable. And let's get ready for story time. Today I will discuss the battle. This is Season 1, Episode 8 of Star Trek The Next Generation. This episode aired for the very first time on November 16, 1987. So I'm going to begin with a quick summary of the episode. The Enterprise, following orders from Starfleet, is in the Zendi Sabu star system. That's not an easy name to pronounce. They are waiting for a Ferengi vessel who has requested a meeting with them. But the Ferengi are late. The Enterprise has been waiting for 3 days, and all the Ferengi have said to them is, "Stand by, Enterprise." As you can imagine, this is driving Picard insane, which is understandable. So Picard gets a headache, big, massive headache. But Dr. Beverly Crusher examines him, and she finds nothing wrong with him. Finally, the Ferengi communicate, and they have something for Picard. It's his old ship, the Stargazer, a Constellation-class starship. The Ferengi beam over to the bridge, and they explain to Picard that this is a gift. They are gifting him his old ship, which he had been forced to abandon after it was severely damaged during a battle. But we know the Ferengi are sneaky, so we know it's not as simple as that. They must have something under their furry sleeves. As it turns out, they have a device that is essentially controlling Picard's mind. Damon Bach, one of the Ferengi, wants revenge from Picard, because Picard killed his son in the battle that damaged the Stargazer. So he's now intent on controlling Picard's mind in order to force him to relive or reenact the battle. But this is not all. There's another aspect to their revenge. The Ferengi provide the Enterprise evidence, which seems to show that all those years ago, Picard shot the Ferengi ship without provocation, and even though they were under a flag of truce. This is a horrifying revelation, and it would make Picard a criminal. But this is later revealed to be yet more sneaky lies by the Ferengi, as we learn that the evidence was fabricated. Picard beams onto the Stargazer, and under the effect of mind control, he is going to destroy the Enterprise. But at the end, Riker manages to get Picard from under the spell of the mind control, and all ends well. The Enterprise is not destroyed. Now, for the moments and themes that I'm going to focus on. First, I will talk about the opening scene of the episode, because I think it's a lovely one. It's a lovely scene, and we learn a lot through it. Then I will talk about the everlasting headache that Picard suffers from, and what that tells us about healthcare and science in the 24th century. Then I will briefly talk about the Picard Maneuver, which sounds dirty, I know, but it's not like that. And finally, I will address the main theme of this episode, the past. Alright then, everyone get comfortable and relax, and let's see what's out there. I really like the opening sequence of this episode. First, we see a shot of the Enterprise in space, flying side by side with a Ferengi vessel. It's a pretty cool shot. One thing about, well, not the best Star Trek episodes, is that they make you appreciate the details, because even the really badly written episodes have interesting scenes or interesting dialogue. So, as I was saying, it's a cool shot because we get to see the Enterprise from the side, going left to right on the screen, with the Ferengi ship doing the same thing. Regarding the Ferengi vessel, I like its crescent shape. It makes it look like a marine life form. There's something organic about its design. Makes it look alive somehow. After this, we cut to a close-up shot of an aquarium, more specifically the aquarium in the captain's quarters. So we go from the exterior space shot with a beautiful dark purple cosmos in the background to a shot that makes us feel like we're inside the aquarium with the fishes and the other aquatic life forms. This makes me think of the connection between the Navy and the Space Force. After all, Starfleet is a continuation of the Navy. The Starfleet ships sail the cosmos just like in the past, and by that, of course, I mean our present. Just like in Picard's past and in our present, our ships sail the oceans, the sea. And then we have a short tracking shot. The camera moves horizontally to the side, and we see Picard in his quarters with Dr. Crusher. And that's where the rest of the scene takes place, inside Picard's quarters. This is fun because we get to see what the inside of his quarters look like. His quarters are, of course, impeccable. Everybody's sleeping quarters on TNG are impeccable. We can see he has a few decorations in his room. One of them is a nautical sextant, an antique one, so again, a reference to the maritime past. He has a desk, and behind his desk, there are some consoles. There's also a small library filled with antique-looking books, because that's what Picard reads. He doesn't read Harry Potter or Freakonomics, okay? He reads old books with beautiful old covers. Oh, there's also a table with some chairs. It's a table that looks, to me, more suited for meetings than for, say, having lunch. So we can guess that some meetings take place inside the captain's quarters. There's also a set of couches with a coffee table. There are vertical windows that are a little slanted, like, in an attic room. There are some plants in the corner as well. His quarters look very homey to me. I like them. I can just imagine Picard hanging in there, maybe hiding from the crew, reading his old books, not answering his combadge. Also, I can't stop thinking of how the space in his quarters, and mind you, this isn't even all of it, because we are not seeing the bed or the bathroom here. But still, this space is already huge compared to the space available to astronauts today in our time. Oh, and another thing, And this is something that I've been wondering for a while. Behind his desk, there's a painting or some kind of image of what looks like a starbase orbiting around a planet. And if you notice, there are paintings like this one all over the ship. Paintings of space vessels, planets, stars. And I wonder why that is. I mean, why hang pictures of space? They are already in space. Wouldn't it make more sense to have pictures of, I don't know, back home, whatever that might mean for every crew officer? Pictures of Earth, of Vulcan, of Kronos. The places they miss, the places they can't be at due to their job and the commitment to their duty. Not the same places that you can see out the window. I don't know. If you have an opinion on this, I would love to hear it, because it's been bothering me for a while. So, for most of the episode, Picard has a headache, which we later on learn was caused by the mind control machine the Ferengi were using on him to get their revenge. Well, it was actually just one Ferengi who had a vendetta against him. And I will talk about that later. Anyway, Dr. Crusher makes it a point to say that she doesn't see headaches very often. It's apparently not common in the 24th century to get a headache. What Dr. Crusher says is that by their time, science has been able to map the brain, and they have learned to understand the nature of pain. That being said, ironically, I started to develop a headache while watching this episode, because it does get a little repetitive. It doesn't really go anywhere. And I think mostly my head started to hurt because I couldn't stop thinking of all the directions I wish the writers had chosen instead of the one they did. Another thing we learn is that the common cold is another one of those illnesses or afflictions that people no longer suffer from. At least the people in the Federation, where scientific knowledge and technological development seems to be geared towards the betterment of material conditions, the improvement of health and the quality of life. The Federation is the dream, isn't it? And I wonder if it's, as a dream, if it's as unattainable as it feels sometimes. Not all the time, but on some days. After all, how would our scientific knowledge look like to some of our ancestors from the past? Especially to those who sought so hard to learn and to understand the natural world around them, those who paved the way for us. I think of the early scientists from the Sumerian civilization, observing, writing, observing again, elaborating theories, and leaving all that for us so we could build upon it. Now, obviously, Star Trek is fiction. It's not a vision of the future. It's just an idea, an inspiration. It's something to strive for. So Picard's headache gets so bad, he begins to hear voices in his head. They counsel him. They understand. They talk to him. They talk to him. Picard is losing it, and no amount of medical help seems to change anything. He is even tucked into bed by Dr. Crusher like he's a sickly Victorian child. Although I couldn't stop thinking of the fact that he gets into bed with his uniform. Beverly even puts the cover on him while he's in bed with his uniform. That looks so uncomfortable to me. In this episode, we also learn something else about Picard's past. We know that in his encounter with the Ferengi, he came up with a solution to evade them that was so creative and effective, it became a battle tactic taught at Starfleet Academy. And that's the Picard Maneuver. The Picard Maneuver is when a vessel jumps into high warp, making it appear to the enemy, just for an instant, that the ship is in two places at once. This confuses the enemy, who doesn't know which ship to shoot at. It's very clever. And in this scene, when we learn about this, when Picard explains to his officers how he came up with it, he's very humble. He says he was just born out of desperation. And it's Riker who builds him up, who he seems so proud of his captain. Picard doesn't seem to want the praise. One of the many moments that make this show such a comforting watch. The boss is smart and capable, but he's also humble and gracious. And the people working under him are proud and happy to be working with him and to follow his orders. Yeah, no wonder headaches no longer exist in the future. I think the main and most important theme of this episode is the past, our relationship to it, and how the past can influence our future, for good and for bad. The crew of the Enterprise find a log made by Picard after the battle with the Ferengi vessel, way back, where he confesses to have shot at the ship without provocation, and even though the ship was under a flag of truce. This would make Picard a war criminal. He would have to be court-martialed. He would no longer be able to stay on the Enterprise. He would lose his commission at Starfleet. And he would end up at one of those, well, actually quite lovely prisons they have in the 24th century. If you watched Voyager, especially the pilot, you've seen them too. So yes, that's where they would send Picard if this horrible revelation turned out to be true. But it is not. And to be honest, I wish they would have spent more time dealing with this moral dilemma. Not just the crew, but us, the audience too. Clearly, that was not the focus of the episode. And just as well, the revelation of Damon Bach, the bereaved Ferengi who wanted to exact revenge on Picard for killing his son. His revelation comes too late in the episode, in my opinion. And it's all very quickly revealed. And I don't think that's fair. That is a father who lost his son. And if he's going to these great lengths to hurt Picard, he must have been hurting too. All we know is that it was his son's first command, so we can assume he was young, with a future ahead of him. The Ferengi, Damon Bach, his revenge is quite interesting, forcing Picard to relive the battle by way of mind control. It's terrible, but it's also heartbreaking. Clearly, Bach has not been able to move on, and he is also reliving the past and his loss over and over again. But the episode doesn't explore any of this, so we are not left with much substance. At the end, once he is free from the mind control, Picard says something quite generic about leaving the dead to rest in peace and letting the past remain the past. But I would like to know more. How does he feel after having caused those deaths, and therefore the suffering of a grieving father, even though he was just defending the Stargazer? The Ferengi vessel was the aggressor, that is quite clear. He didn't have a choice. Does it cause him pain too? Does he grieve too? Not just the lives lost, but also his peace of mind. his own innocence? Does he feel any guilt? And how does he move forward? How does he find peace with it? We don't know, at least not yet. I guess I ask these questions because I know that this show only gets better. And these are the deeply human issues that we get to explore more and more with each episode. And this is it. This is the end of my comments on the battle. Now, like I said, I have a headache. Not as bad as the one Picard gets, but pretty much. So I'm going to stay in this empty cargo bay and take a nap and get some rest. Until next time, live long and prosper.